Hey Shooby Doodlers, how are you doing? I had a request a couple of weeks ago from Cecilia Acuna who said, could I show how to draw a Boston Terrier? Yes, I can. But let's not talk about it. Let's do it. In this drawing, I'm using a pen and a pencil, an eraser, a water brush, and a watercolor set. You'll find all the links for this stuff down below. So I am going to start off by drawing a kind of a squarish kind of shape and just kind of getting the right size to kind of fit on the paper, about like that. So, but it does pretty much want to be a square, and then draw a line right the way through the middle and then one just a little bit above it. So this is where the nose is going to be, and that's kind of square-ish, and you're going to get a line coming down from the middle of that. And this line here is where the eyes are going to be. So if you kind of go midway between the nose and the side, there's a little dot, and then we can draw a circle around that dot. That's where the eyes are going to be. And they want to be, you want the kind of eyelids just sort of higher on the outsides than on the insides, like that. Now here it's going to kind of come in like that, and down here it's going to kind of split about there down to these chops there, like that. Then the ears will be sort of splitting out there, and they are very big, tall, sticking up ears, and that'll be coming around like that and around like that, and they come down pretty well vertically, and then sort of in about there. There's kind of always a funny little wiggle in the dog's ears there, and then that will be sort of coming out about like that, and a little bit of funniness going on in there. And then we're going to want, that will be under there slightly, and then we're going to want sort of the chest coming down there. If you've watched all my videos, you know I use this Rotring Tikky graphic a lot. But today I'm going to use this pen here, which is very, very weird. It's called a Sailor Dude Food pen. I always call it a dude pen, but it's food. It's Japanese. And it's got a very bent nib. And that allows you to kind of adjust the width of the line that you're making. So I'm going to go right vertically like that and draw these eyeballs first. And I always like to draw eyes and animals, people and characters and things fairly quickly into a drawing, because that's kind of where you connect with the character. And then I'm leaving this little space of white, which is the highlight of the light, the sun or whatever it is shining on the eye. And then here I'm coming out that way like that, and then sort of down that way, out that way, and then down kind of that way like that. And then I'm going to make a couple little sort of marks underneath and another one sort of above it there. And next I'm going to draw the nose, and that's going to come sort of around like that, and then it's going to come sort of around and make this little kind of, it looks like a mushroom, doesn't it, really? And then that will come down a bit, and then we've got a line, and then that will come down to about there. I'm going to come up to the top now and draw in the ears, and I think you get a kind of a quality of line by using a kind of a weird pen, which you don't get. I think if you're using a graphic pen, you get a kind of very steady line, but here you get a very kind of interesting sort of shape to the line. Now I'm just going to bring this down to where it comes in there, because what we need to do here is draw in this. This is the bit that makes it Boston, isn't it? More terrier like. So I'm going to sort of fairly sort of thin line, and then I can make it a bit stronger down there like that, and then that's a curve going down there, and then that's just going to sort of come in underneath there and up to a sort of V point there, and that will come around like that, and then that will be the chin, and then we'll have a lip underneath there, and we can just kind of have the dog there. So it's a portrait, so I'm going to put this line in there because that's going to be his waistcoat. The Boston Terrier is known as the American gentleman because he looks like he's wearing a tuxedo, a kind of dinner jacket thing. And I'm just going to put in a random kind of thing there because they will have this sort of white flash on the forehead as well. Kind of like that. I'm going to use my hairdryer to get this really dry before I erase the pencil lines. So that should be dry. Ah, no, not quite on the nose. There's a little smudge there. You can never be too sure, can you? But I think we're going to be okay. I'll add to my list of tools is a piece of kitchen towel, which is always very useful to keep on hand. So the water brush has the water in the handle. The water flows down through the brush. So you kind of treat it a little differently to a normal brush. When you squeeze the brush, the water flows through and you can clean the brush like that. I'm using my Cotman sketching set, and if you click up here you can see a video that I made all about opening, boxing, that kind of thing. And so I got a bit of red there, but I don't really want red, so I'm going to get burnt sienna and let's kind of mix it in there with a little bit of a mess, and I'm going to sort of fill in these ears like that so that they're kind of pinky brown, something like that. And then also I'm going to want a little bit of kind of pinkiness around here, so I'm just going to sort of splodge some pinkiness around there. Now this is burnt sienna, so I'm going to put this in the eyes, or in the around the eyes, should I say, and probably in those little spaces too, in between there. And then this is sepia, I think, if I remember rightly. And just in the top layer of that circle, I'm going to add some sepia in there, which will sort of give it a bit of depth. Now we want a Boston Terrier kind of black. Now normally I would use a colour that I love using, if you watch me often you'll know, and it's called neutral tint, but I'm going to make up today using French ultramarine and burnt sienna, and mixing them together you should be able to make up something close to what we're after. I'm going to add a bit of sepia in there as well, so you kind of got to get the mix with the blue just right to get it kind of grey and not brown. Good, so I'm going to sort of bring that in around the edges there. And I'm just going to leave a little gap of white above that eye, and then I'm just going to bring it down there like that. It wouldn't matter actually if there was a bit more brown in here, because you know, that's sort of three colours. There's a kind of a brown and a brindle, I think it is, and then the black and white. So if it had a bit of brown in there, then that would make it more brindle, wouldn't it? I think. I'm sure some Boston Terrier cognoscenti will say, "Whoa, that's wrong." So on the nose, I'm going to draw a little bit along the top, paint a little bit. Watercolour is really drawing, actually. It's not, rather than painting. Painting is applying paint, whereas watercolour is sort of drawing with colour. And we're going to do kind of something like that, and a little bit underneath. And I'm just going to... Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just wetting the brush here to clean it. And then I'm just going to kind of dab along the outside like that. And then we probably want some little little spots along there for where the whiskers are going. And now I'm going to put a bit more sepia and a bit more blue just to darken it up a little bit. So then I'm going to darken up these sort of inner bits up at the top there. And maybe I'm just going to make it a bit darker in these kind of folds and down the edge here, just also to maybe accentuate the eyes a little bit like that. So I'm going to take that darker down there, clean my brush up, and then just kind of dab it into that area like that. Watercolour is a wonderful medium. and I think some people think it, you know, oh, it's because you used it when you were a kid, oh well, that must be, you know, it's for kids. But you'll find many big famous artists who work in oil paint will not touch watercolour because it's far too difficult for them. And it does take a lot of practice and a lot of learning. It's a different way of thinking. When you're painting in watercolour, you have to think quite differently. So I'm just adding a little bit more in there just to kind of darken up the nose. And then with a bit of blue and a bit of grey, I'm just going to flick in a little bit of sort of shadow underneath there. And I think I'll have a little bit of shadow across the top there as well, like that. And then we're going to want to have the waistcoat as well. Not quite happy with the ears yet, so I'm getting a bit of this is alizarin crimson. I'm just going to add with a bit of the blue, which makes it a bit purpley. So I'm just going to bodge that in a bit there like that. That's a bit better. And there you go, Cecilia, how to draw a Boston Terrier. I'll post the outline and a copy of this on my Patreon page, so you can just colour it in or use the outline to trace onto your own watercolour paper and have a go yourself. And make sure you are subscribed to the Shoo Rayner drawing channel and keep coming back for lots more drawings every week. And in the meantime, keep drawing, 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 practice, 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 and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye bye.